department, and ultimately taxpayers are getting slapped with another lawsuit this morning, all about the use of deadly force. This one is from a case that is about 4 years old. It's one the Department of Justice uses as an example of APD's recklessness in using deadly force. Take a look. This is March of 2010. It's a new video out this morning of a busy Walmart on the west side where Mickey Owings, a suspected car thief with a violent history, pulls up in an SUV next to another SUV that police think he stole. Now, he and the passenger get out. Then Owings gets back in and starts to back out. That's when undercover cop cars and SUVs box him in, and Owings slams into them. Then Detective Kevin Sanchez runs up, pulls out his gun, and shoots Owings. Then he hits two empty parked cars. He zooms out of the lot. He quickly loses consciousness and dies nearby.
You can see the officers on this video created the danger themselves, and undercover vehicles, they're the ones driving recklessly to block him in.
That's attorney Shannon Kennedy. She has filed a lawsuit against the city on behalf of Owings' 3 children. And now religious leaders here in Albuquerque are worried about where the protests against the police department may be headed.
One thing we discussed was the need to humanize everybody in this situation.
Remember Monday, 20 demonstrators forced their way into Mayor R.J. Berry's office. That's this video. What you saw before was some of the protests after a deadly shooting into Foothills. These protesters in the mayor's office, the ones you saw earlier, were demanding a meeting with the mayor about APD, but he was out of town. 13 protesters were arrested after refusing to leave. The escalation in the protest now has church leaders calling for calm.
Really concerned about those officers and their safety. And we of course have lots of clergy whose congregations are really upset and worried as non-uniformed people in Albuquerque.
As many as 50 interfaith leaders now working to organize talks between APD and the community to address concerns on both sides. We'll keep you updated on what they do. Well, Craigslist has turned into a scouting service for crooks. At least it was for one couple in Albuquerque, but now the cops have effectively put them out of business. Investigators say these two, Rebecca Martinez and William Hall, pulled at least 4 jobs together in 2 weeks in the last month. Police say people they robbed put ads on Craigslist to sell things such as phones and tablets. One of the two would then contact the seller, set up a meeting in a public place, including bank parking lots in Winrock Mall. Police say Hall would then pull a gun and the seller would get the stuff stolen. Police arrested the two after they say they got an anonymous tip after releasing this surveillance video last week. And it turns out Google has been instrumental in pulling an accused child predator behind bars. Nicholas Seneco is charged with uploading child pornography and sharing it with others. Google notified the New Mexico Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force that one of their male users added a graphic file, this is disturbing, showing a 10-year-old boy tied up in a sexually explicit manner. Deputies say Seneco refused to give them any of his passwords. He is charged with distributing child pornography. Well, another shooting at a college is topping national headlines this morning. One person is dead, at least 3 more hurt in a shooting at a college in Seattle yesterday. Police say a young man with a knife and a shotgun opened fire inside this building at Seattle Pacific University yesterday afternoon. Once again, one person is dead this morning. 3 more are hurt. One of them, we are told, critically. And police say more could have died and gotten hurt if it wasn't for some students and staff there.
A student monitor who works inside of that facility observed the suspect reloading the shotgun and was able to stop the individual at that point, pepper sprayed that person, then got them to the ground where other people inside of the facility were able to subdue him.
Thank goodness for that. Police caught the shooter. They say he's a 26-year-old young man who is not a student at the university, and they have no idea what set the guy off. All right, 5:05, a call from both of New Mexico's U.S. senators to the White House. They want President Obama to take his proposed budget for the waste isolation pilot plant near Carlsbad and rethink it. The president's original budget requested $220 million to maintain and operate WIP. But Senators Tom Udall and Martin Heinrich say that amount does not account for the cost of the 2 recent accidents there, a truck fire and the radiation leak back in February that shut the plant down. The cleanup continues, but WIP has not said when it'll reopen. Well, a possible deal between Eclipse Aerospace and the Air Force could bring hundreds of jobs to Albuquerque. This could be a big game changer here. The aviation company says it could learn by the end of the year if it'll provide new lightweight jets to the Air Force for training. This week, the Defense Department released its spending bill for the 2015 fiscal year. It gives the Air Force 90 days to explore options for updating its fleet of training jets. That fleet is now more than 20 years old. Both Eclipse and the state have been lobbying the Air Force to switch to the Eclipse 550 light jet. Eclipse says if the deal goes through, it could mean anywhere from 300 to 400 new production jobs. In the past, Eclipse's CEO says it saved the Air Force a lot of money on fuel. Well, business, jobs, and the economy will be the talk today at a couple of meetings with Senator Tom Udall in Albuquerque. Senator Udall is visiting the Admiral Beverage Corporation Distribution Center to talk about expanding in that area. Then he will see the expansion at Sitel's Albuquerque Customer Care Center, where the company is already hiring for 270 new jobs. And if you're looking for a job, head to the recruiting event today at Workforce Connections off Mountain Road near Edith. DD Discounts is opening a second store in Duke City and is hiring 60 people. You can apply anytime today from 9 to 4 at Workforce Connection and anytime up until the 13th of this month. Well, graveside services are being held tonight for more than a dozen puppies. It's a way one shelter wants to get the word out about puppy mills. The Animal Village in Alamogordo got 4 different litters of inbred dogs in 35 days. More than a dozen of these puppies died from birth defects. The shelter says illegal breeders make big money on these puppies, in some cases thousands of dollars, often keeping them in awful conditions and using them as breeding machines. A 4-time PGA Tour winner, Notah Begay, says he feels great a month after having a heart attack. Mr. Begay spent yesterday morning teaching the game he loves and is very good at, too, at a camp at Ladera Golf Course. His NB3 Foundation for Native American Youth is putting this on. Mr. Begay had a stent put in his heart recently and says the experience is life-changing. Now he's back to work as a golf analyst and will be part of next week's U.S. Open broadcast. He'll also host the Rio Grande Charity Slam at Santa Ana Golf Course starting June 27th. Certainly happy that he is back to work and back to feeling good.